The mysterious being, the divine being, the supreme being, the deity known as God is a character that's shrouded in mystery, a lot of mystery, probably more than Blast. But besides all that, we're gonna be explaining God, where he came from, who he is, his motives, and his abilities, and all that good stuff in this video here, guys. And we'll even throw in some theories too, just for fun. We'll probably discuss a little bit about him, just because his character is shrouded in so much mystery. So yeah, in today's video, we're going to be discussing events that occurred during the Monster Association arc. So if you're not caught up with the manga, or if you're just like an anime only viewer, please proceed with caution, because this stuff could probably come out during season 3, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, don't quote me on that. All right, so with that being said, proceed with caution and let's get into this video. So this enigmatic entity, referred to as God, first made his manga debut in chapter 109, and in this chapter, Zombie Man and Homeless Emperor are actually fighting, and in the middle of the fight, Zombie Man questions Homeless Emperor as to how he got his powers. And so Homeless Emperor decides to explain to Zombie Man how he got his power. And to summarize it pretty quickly for you, Homeless Emperor explains to Zombie Man that he was laid off his job for, well, he essentially got cucked, okay? You know, it wasn't a good way, the reason he got fired, okay? It sucks for him. But basically, after he got laid off, he begins to start contemplating as to why society is the way it is today. And he starts to also think about how humans have abandoned Mother Nature. And after contemplating all that, he starts to prepare to take his own life. And as he's preparing to take his own life with the noose, he has it like tied around the tree. And as he's about to put his head through it, God actually shows himself to Homeless Emperor. And then from there, God begins to give Homeless Emperor his power. And of course, God, being the mysterious being he is, he actually tells Homeless Emperor, you know what to do with this power. I also want to point out that God actually looks really different this first time we've seen him. The other times he's shown, he looks like Jupiter almost, you know, with swirls and holes almost, but this time he looks like a human nervous system. So God is basically able to give beings power, and we've seen him try to do this with Tatsumaki, but as we know, Tatsumaki resisted. And that's what we see with a lot of people that have received God's power. They usually subjugate themselves to God himself. And the second time we see God in the manga is in chapter 112, where we see Saitama battling King Orochi. And during this battle, we see Orochi do something kind of odd. He decides to lead Saitama to a sacrificial altar. And where this sacrificial altar is located is obviously really deep in the earth. And it's so deep down that there's lava everywhere. It's dark. It's in a cavern, a huge cavern. And in the middle of all that, there's this huge mural. And in this mural, it depicts to what seems like people sacrificing or offering a lot of sacrifices to a being or entity that looks just like Orochi. And Orochi sees this mural as people offering sacrifices to him to become a god. And that's why Orochi brings Saitama down there. He sees Saitama as a worthy sacrifice in order to get Orochi to that god status. And so Orochi begins to fight Saitama, and as he's charging up an attack, Saitama literally just fucking one-shots him. But as Saitama defeats Orochi, the cave begins to collapse and everything's crumbling down. And as everything is crumbling down, the mural begins to show more of itself, and in the full mural it shows God. Now, as to what that means is, it essentially is saying that Orochi was supposed to be the sacrifice in order to awaken God. But because Saitama pretty much one-shotted no diff Orochi there, he kind of just fumbled God's plan. And you know, that's kind of what we see. That's why Saitama is said to be the abominable fist turned against God. And as we go through the chapters and chapters, you'll see all the different kinds of monsters that God has given power to. We also see many times that God has tried to subjugate the heroes themselves on his side. And in chapter 139, God actually tries to get Saitama and Flashy Flash to touch this cube. And if they touch the cube, then God would bestow them power. And Saitama and Flashy Flash begin to wonder who's talking to them because right now they cannot see God physically. And as they're questioning it, Blast decides to show up for the first time in the series. And Blast begins to explain to them how these mysterious cubes are actually communication devices to communicate with God. And the thing about these mysterious cubes is that they have been scattered. I'm not sure if they've been scattered all over the earth or the universe. All we know is that Blast has been looking for them. So we know that God is able to telepathically communicate with people and he is able to grant powers. But not only that, God has an ability to where he can just present himself in whichever way he wants to. And we see this when God approaches Garo as Bang. And of course, God also can siphon back the power he has bestowed upon anybody. He has done this to Homeless Emperor, Garo, basically anyone he's given power to. And to summarize what I've already talked about, he is able to telepathically communicate with anybody. He's able to grant powers and take those powers. And there's these mysterious cubes that seamlessly communicate with God. And that's all we really have on God based on hard facts. Everything else is really discussions for like speculation and theories and stuff, which I want to get into in this video. The first thing I want to discuss about is that are all the monsters in the One Punch Man universe created by this God being? And the reason I bring this up is because in the first episode / first season of One Punch Man, we see Vaccine Man, and Vaccine Man basically goes on a rant about how humans are bacteria to the earth. He really despises humans and just wants to eradicate them off the planet. These are kind of similar, I guess you could say, motives compared to God, because if we compare God and Vaccine Man's goals, they're very similar. You know, God views, I guess you could say he views humanity as a bacteria, similar to Vaccine Man. And so God was making these monsters in order to wipe out humanity off Earth. Another thing people are speculating is that God is actually the final villain of One Punch Man, which obviously makes a lot of sense because God is really giving all these really powerful people that we see their powers. So you can really imagine how powerful he is. And I'm also really hoping this is the case too, because that fight would probably be really epic. We'll probably see like dimension breaking, universal, multiversal levels of power probably if God were to be the final villain. There's also a lot of symbolism behind God himself. All of the illustrations and writing done by Murata and One show a lot of comparisons or parallels to in real life religions. We see things like reincarnation, sacrifices, and we see a lot of subliminal messages like the moon, earth, nature, and even space and the planets. My boy Zonin actually does a really good job of explaining all this, so if you want, you can go check out his video. His video. So yeah, God uses a lot of people in the One Punch Man universe to do his bidding, and hopefully we find the reason for why that is, and hopefully a lot of our questions get answered pretty soon. Only time will tell. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. So what do you guys think about God? Do you think he's the final villain of the One Punch Man series, or do you think we'll never find out? God, I hope that doesn't happen. And if you have a theory about God, go ahead and drop a comment. I really want to see them. And if you really enjoyed the video, guys, please drop a like. And if you want to see some more One Punch Man content, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. Other than that, guys, I'll be seeing you soon. See ya.